everybody, Thrall here, and we're going to do something a little different today. I had a request to show people how to do blogging and how to play challenges in Sims. So we're going to do that, and I have a presentation all worked up. But meantime, I'm going to wait for a couple people to show up so we can get started on that. But while we're waiting, I want to show off my shell again. This is the Humpty Dumpty shell. It's due the 5th of May at 5 p.m. And it's basically putting all these pieces, the indoor ones and the outside pieces, together to build a house. So that one's going to be that's going to be fun to do. Really looking forward to see what a lot of people put together for this one. I'm going to be doing it as well. Hey, Cindy! Welcome and lurking. I'm really going to have some fun today and look at how to do, just simply how to do blogs. I'll be showcasing mostly WordPress and some of the blogs that I do. But I'll also point out some other options for people who want to do different things. So I'm kind of waiting for Miss to get here, so we'll chat for a little bit as we get started. But yeah, so that's my shell. And let's see what else is. Oh, somebody asked whether you could merge the boxes. And putting them next to each other, yes. Merging, no. So that way, and somebody else wanted to know whether terrain work was okay, and that's fine. And so, and lot sizes, you can do anything you want to for those. So that's good. Let's see what else do. Hey! Miss, welcome! That's who I was waiting to get here. I wanted to make sure you were here before I got going. Hey, Carrie! How are you? Everybody's showing up today. So, I put together a presentation on how to blog challenges and stories. And I'm going to be going through, because I've been blogging on my website for, goodness, I think I put together my website in 2012. So, I've been doing Sims blogging for a lot longer than I've been doing streaming. And let me switch to my browser window. And that's the wrong one I've got up. This is what happens when you have too many browser windows ready to go. This one goes there. There we go. Alright. Switch to that. And this is my blog. I do a lot of stuff on here. I have all of my challenges that I've published up here. Excuse me, getting parched. I also have I write story blogs as well as doing, hey Geekette, welcome to lurking, as well as documenting some of the challenges I do. And I've been doing this for quite a while on blogging. So basically, blogs, there's several different reasons you want to try. If you want to start a blog on Sims or even streaming, some people do challenges, some people want to write a story, and either way is fine. But how you plan to write the story often dictates how you do everything else. Another thing you want to consider is why you're doing it. You can do it for fun. I personally do it because I want to have a record of the challenges that I've done so I can look back on them. You can also want to share the challenge with your friends or just stretch creative muscles and practice creative writing. The first thing we wanted to look at is how you're going to be setting up your blog. First, you need to pick where you're going to do it. One suggestion is WordPress. I use WordPress and I absolutely love it. I know there's a lot of people who use WordPress. You can do it on a lot of different devices. It's extremely flexible. Getting started is a little bit difficult because you have to get used to all the interface and stuff. But once you've done that, you're pretty much good to go. Another site that you can use is Tumblr. This one is more designed for people who want to use a lot of pictures but don't want to do a lot of explaining of the pictures and stuff afterwards. But I know a lot of people who do use Tumblr, and it works just fine. Another one is Weebly, and these are all free. So you don't have to pay to get a decent blog. I only subscribe to WordPress literally this past year, and that was just to get rid of the ads. And it was like, what, $40 for the whole year, I think, to get rid of ads. So, and there's no reason other than to get rid of the ads to do that unless you run out of space. And in 12 years of blogging, I have yet to run out of space on WordPress. Another way to do it is Blogger, which, funny story, while I was doing the research for this, I pulled up Blogger and it immediately went to a blog that I had started on Blogger in 2009 about putting together a miniatures house for my son that I had completely forgotten that I had started. The nice thing about Blogger is that it's also connected through Google. So if you like doing everything through Google, you can do it that way. But another way that you can do it is you can do it in Google Docs. There's a lot of different templates, all this good stuff. I tend to use Google Docs to store rules that I'm working on, like my Not So Berry challenge, my Decades challenge, that sort of thing. I don't tend to use Google Docs for challenges, but it's a completely valid way to share your stories. Let's drop these. This, I'm going to sign in. That's not the right one. And there we go. That way I'm at least signed in on there. Questions to ask yourself when you're getting ready to start a blog. You want to know how many pictures versus text you're going to be using. So if you're planning on using a lot of pictures and not a lot of text, Tumblr's a good place to go. Are you planning on hosting more than one challenge on the blog, or are you going to do like one blog per challenge? I know a lot of people that do specific blogs for different challenges and literally host one blog at a time. And the nice thing about WordPress is, see this, they've got this add new site button. As far as I know, that's fairly unlimited. You can do as many sites as you want to on WordPress. So, and link them with links. Or you can do what I do with mine, and I have all of my stuff on one blog, including my challenge rules and the stories that I do and challenges. And the other question you want to ask yourself is, are you going to be continuing to edit the blog for a while, or what are your plans? Are you just going to abandon it when you're done, and move on to something else, or whether you're going to keep working on the same blog and do other challenges as well? Yeah. So those are some considerations to take into effect or take into consideration as you're getting started. Some other topics we're going to get into is how actually to play a challenge or a story for blogging purposes. It's a little different to play it if you're planning on blogging than it would be if you're doing it just normally. We'll talk about how to set up your challenge, how to play for each post, and how to change generations. I'll also tell you how to format your pictures because that's extremely important. Using the PNG files or PNG files that Sims gives you for your for screenshots is usually a really bad way to go. First of all, they're large files and they take a while to, especially if you're using a bunch of pictures. And if you're using a bunch of pictures and you're using the PNG files, it's going to increase the time that it takes to download the page so people can see it. And it's pretty much a hard fact. They've done studies. If it takes your page more than 3 seconds to load, you're going to lose almost 90% of your viewers. So that's something to take into effect, and I'll go over how to make your pictures smaller file sizes without buying expensive programs. I literally use MS Paint to do it, and it has worked for years and years. So there's also some fun things that I'll show you how to do with simple programs and free programs for that matter. Then we'll get into how to actually write the post and what exactly the types of blogs are. There's basically 3 main types of blogs when you stop looking at like Tumblr, which is mostly just pictures. The 3 different types are commentary, game-driven story, and story-driven story. Commentary is, I'll give you an example. I'll go to one of my pages. My Shepherd's Decades. We'll go here. This is a commentary blog. I literally put up the pictures and then talk about the pictures myself in my own way. So, I put up a picture and then I tell what I was thinking or what was happening in the picture. It doesn't involve a lot of imagination and putting together a story. It's really easy to do, and it leaves me a record of what happened in each challenge. So if I go back later and I don't remember where I was, all I have to do is look at the last post I put up and I can remember where I was in the challenge. It's so much easier to do this. Thank you very much for following, Sippy Cup. Welcome, and today we're doing a informative stream. I usually stream Sims, and today I'm going over how to do blogs if you want to do a blog for your Sims stories. And back to what I was talking about. This is a commentary blog. This is one of mine. And it just tells the story of what was going on in these pictures. A story or a game-driven blog is the second type. It's also fairly easy to do, and my broomstick files actually is very much a game-driven story. I play through a week of time. I'll go into how to do it, but I play through a week of time, get all the pictures, and then I go into my imagination and I come up with what was going on in the Sims' minds as these pictures were happening. And I basically do a creative writing story about it. Um, so like in this story, I sort of had a place for the story to start, but I didn't know where exactly it was going to go from that point. And so she goes to the train station and she starts her new life and her challenge. And I take pictures of the important parts and write a story about it as I go. The hardest type of blog to do um, is actually is a story driven blog. This is also another creative writing thing, but this is where you come up with the story beforehand and you make the game match the story. This involves a lot of posing and taking pictures specifically for illustrating what was going on in the story. Like in this one, I specifically had him sit down and say curse words just so I could get a picture of him being frustrated at his new campsite. Um, and there's a lot of instances in this particular story. I believe this is the only one I have that is currently, yeah, the other ones are all game driven. This is the only story driven one that I currently am doing simply because it's a lot harder to do. It's not as easy to do as a challenge, especially when you're playing, because it's hard to always have your Sims do exactly what you want them to. And Sims tends to do their own thing anyways. Um, so those are the three different types of blogs, and you can do any one of those that you want, and don't feel like that's written in stone. If you're just not feeling a story, or it gets too hard, or if you're doing a commentary and suddenly get ideas about, what the Sims are thinking, I call it when the Sims start talking to me. And when I start feeling like there's a story coming out of the Sims, it's it's entirely possible to take a commentary and turn it into a story. Um, don't be afraid to change your blog. A good place to do this is sometimes between generations. Sometimes you will connect with the Sims in one generation a lot easier than you'll connect to another one. Um, and that's just kind of the way it goes. But you can change styles anywhere in a blog. I know I have a couple of friends who were doing a story and just got to the point where they were dreading each post because it was so hard on them and they were really struggling through it, and they switched to a commentary style and suddenly it was fun again. And the thing to remember about blogging for Sims, it's about having fun. It's about doing what you like to do, not necessarily what you want people to see. Um, so let's go ahead and we'll get into, so that's the intro. We'll get into now how to start a challenge, and a little bit of where you can find challenges. One resource that you go to a lot to find challenges is quite simply the Sims forums. They have in the creative corner, they have a challenges, stories, and legacies forum, and pinned at the top is the Sims 4 challenge list. It's run by me, Shelby, and she does a fabulous job. And on the first page, she's got a list of literally hundreds of challenges that you can do Some of them are sorted, some of them aren't. There's even some that I have put together on here. Um, but so there are so many challenges. There's an ISBE, there's ones that people have heard of, there's ones that nobody's heard of. But there's challenges for toddlers. There's the 100 baby challenge, which everybody knows about. There's the 7 toddlers challenge. Um, there's a ton of challenges on this reference, and they try really hard to make sure that all of them go to decent links, and if not, most of them actually go to proper links. So this is one really good resource of where to find challenges. Another good one is Mod the Sims. They have a Sims 4 challenges blog, and it's modthesims.info. They have a really nice place where you can go in and look up a bunch of different challenges. Like there's a Magic Dynasty challenge, there's a MASH challenge. Nothing is free in The Sims 4, which is based on a challenge that was from Sims 3 that I really, really like. And there's also some historical challenges, like a homeless challenge. A lot of times you'll find variations on challenges that you find in other places, but sometimes the variation is what's going to interest you. Another place to find challenges that I go to a lot is Bullprop, and this is bullprop.net. It's another Sims forum, and they have a Sims 4 rule sets challenge legacy rules board that has a bunch of different challenges on it that are some really different ones that are fun to do. Like they have a dumpster challenge. They have this Close Encounter Academy is a really fun challenge. Name Game is really cool. I have one of those. And the fun thing is if you share your information or if you share your challenge on um on Bullprop and like here in Sim Stories, like I have my Tales of Sulani story. I share it on here, and you get medals for doing certain events and stuff, and that's a lot of fun too. Like I've done their Sim Nano, which is like writing for Sims. I've done it a couple years in a row, and that's been a lot of fun. Um, I also got a Story of the Month medal for one of my challenges. Um, Actually, Tales of Sulani is the challenge that got the Story of the Month, as well as the forget it got something else. It got nominated for something else as well, which is kind of cool. Um, but that's a really good place to find challenges as well and to share them. They also have a Discord that's fairly active with people who also do blogs. They're not as into like Twitch streams, but they're all Sims bloggers stretched over all of the Sims story or all of the Sims iterations. Like they don't just have Sims 4 stuff. They go all the way back to Sims 1. And they have challenges built for each of them, as well as some signature ones that they have made themselves on the forum. So that's a really good place. Another place to find challenges is the Sims community page. They have a page that's all a list of challenges, like the Parency Challenge, Immigrant Challenge. They have a list of challenges as well, and a lot of them are different from other lists. The Golden Plum Bob, yeah, that's what I got nominated for. I forgot. That was a while ago. That was my Tales story. I got Best Legacy Challenge for 2020, as well as Story of the Month. So that was fun. I really enjoyed that. I totally didn't expect to get them, but Cindy C. Rose there is also a member of Bullprop. That's where we met. But Sims Community has stuff. There's also, you can also go to Carl's Sims 4 guide. They actually have a forum that has some very interesting challenges, including the fact that they do a tournament every year for points and, I guess, bragging rights with lots of different challenges. I've never gotten into it, but I know a bunch of people who have. Another way to find challenges is, let's be honest, Google. I've found a lot of stuff. Like there's lists that you can find, like this 50 challenges for Sims you should try. Sometimes you'll find a lot of lists, and you'll also find some blogs that people have put together. But there's a lot of different ways to find a challenge. Once you've picked a challenge, let's drop these. Once you've picked a challenge, the next thing you need to worry about is setting it up. Setting up can often take quite a bit of time. Like, I'm going to do an example because I've got this Hoarders challenge that I've been thinking about doing. And to set up for it, you read the rules and figure out how to do it. This one is basically based on one lot. However, there are other challenges where you need to start a full save file for it. And I have actually, where is it? Nope, that's Sheltors. Blank world save. I have a backup save that I have put together that I call my blank world save, and it's designed literally for challenges. It's got everything all deleted, and the only thing I have in there is this person who will get deleted. But all of the worlds are already cleared out. So if you need a blank world for it, this is the way to do it. Make a blank world, save it, and just keep it as a backup file for the next time that you need it. Obviously, I haven't changed this since Snowy Escape came out. Like, I left in the community spaces, and obviously the apartments, and all of the, like, there's special lots that really can't be replaced, like the Ancient Ruins, Von Haunt Estate, and the Bluffs. There's a couple of special lots in San Myshuno, I believe. This one here, Center Park, is a special lot with a special designation. Komarebi, I haven't. Actually, I guess I have pulled it out, which is fine. There really isn't a special lot. Even the onsen can be rebuilt. And for that matter, you can rebuild the special lots, except for this one. This lot cannot be rebuilt. The lighthouse in Brindleton is actually not a special lot. It's simply a museum. That one I usually delete. The reason you don't delete... Yeah, that one's not a special lot. The ones that are the Center Park, these Von Haunt, Ancient Ruins, and the Bluffs. The other ones that are special lots are in Granite Falls. And I have them deleted in this particular save, but the forest is considered to be a special lot, and the trailhead here I don't delete because that's kind of a special lot as well. And obviously you can't do anything about the jungle because that respawns everywhere. But 2, I don't know about. I haven't ever deleted any of them. I don't even know if you can delete them. So, um, but yes, Miss, some people do have their blank worlds available for download. Yeah, naming saves is very important, especially if you're going to go back to your saves. Like, I have a ton of saves. I will be quite honest. I have um upwards of 100 saves. Like, I go into load game and I do, like, I have a bunch of backups from way far ago when I started the Drifter challenge way back when. And so after every Drifter house, it's suggested to have a backup. So in case you need to restart it, that's where it is. And so I have like each house saved. And I've gone through and named my saves so I know what they are. Because a lot of times if it's just like this one, my saved game 43, the only reason I know what this one is because the family name is Achiever. And that's one that I started with the purpose of doing all of the achievements on, but I never got very far, and I ended up writing Master Simmer Challenge instead for that. Like, this is a challenge that I haven't done in a while. It's kind of on hiatus. I was doing this one with my son. We play at the same time, and we'll do challenges together. But he lost his save for that one, so we never went back to it. But I didn't want to get rid of the save. So, but yeah, naming your saves is a really, really good idea. Like, this is the My History Challenge start save. So I have a bunch of challenges and saves that I have. But once you've got a save or a challenge picked out, you need to set up your save. Whether you're going with the blank world save like I showed you, or you go in and literally, I'll show you how to set up a new game for saves. This one actually I'm not going to do because it asks you to make your sim first. You do not have to do that. You can do a random sim, do this, give them a random thing, and then delete them later so you can set up the world. All you have to remember is to give them random stuff. This challenge, however, also has do I have it downloaded? No, I have it favorited, I think. Let's do Hoarders. Save. And I think I'll look for that. I know I have them saved, but oh, come on. Quit. Let me do something, you silly goose. Alright. I know how to find it. If it'll let me do something instead of just loading. Okay, there we go. Okay, for the challenge that I'm doing, she has or he, I'm not sure. We'll just say they. There's we're gonna go ahead and replace it. There's a playable ghost that starts with the family. So I am just gonna go ahead and place her as the family, and I'm gonna save the family to build later. So she is ready to move in. And I'll show you how to start a save that requires the world already built. I usually pick spring, and this challenge actually requests that you pick spring, so that's okay. I usually will just move them in straight into Bargain Bend, because that way you can take care of money and everything from there, and then move on to setting up the world. So we're going to leave her there, and I'm going to go to Manage Worlds. And to do this challenge, you need to have either a 50 by 50 or a 64 by 64. I happen to know there's a 64 in Brindleton. So I am going to go back, pick up the house that they have designed for this challenge, and place it right here. Actually, I need to turn on move objects first. Okay, we've got move objects on. We can place it here. And we want to be the gallery one. And I'm just doing a basic way to set up a save. And one thing you'll want to remember when you're setting up a save is that if you have expansions like Dine Out, you'll want to add a restaurant somewhere in your save just so you can actually use them. Otherwise, what's the point of having Dine Out? Or say Spa Day. If you want to have a spa to visit, you need to add that in. This is quite a house, so it takes a little while to build. But let's see, where was I? Okay, so I have my thing there. I'm gonna go to this, and I'm gonna move her. Now, to get her into that house, because it's worth 238, there's a cheat you can use called Free Real Estate On. You hit that, and all of a sudden, everything is free. And so she only has 20K, but she can move in for free, and she will still have her 20K. We'll take that furnished, and she is ready to have the rest of the family added to her. The only thing I would also do is add in, since I'm going to be playing in Brindleton, I would probably put in a restaurant on a 30 by 20 somewhere, like this one. And to do that, I would go into Build and go into Gallery, and even in just your library, there, if you have Dine Out, which I do obviously, I go to Lots and I say I want to put in a restaurant, which is down here, and it'll pop up all the ones that either you've made or downloaded or that they made for you. Like this one, this is a particularly good one because it's experimental. This one's like a burger bar, but I use this one a lot, so I'll just place that so it's there for while I'm doing the challenge in case they want to go get some food. And then usually I will add a spa as well, but I don't know that they'll actually need one, so I'm not going to worry about that. Now if I was actually starting this challenge, what I would do is I would go into this family through household manage, this manage household, and I would edit to add the Sims that I need for the challenge. Which, if we go back to the rules, it specifically states how many Sims to make and See right here. You've got Sims must be a married couple with one child, and the child must be a toddler. You need to adopt a pet. The age of the pet must be a baby. So those, it'll, any challenge, good challenges usually, will tell you how to set up the challenge. I'm not going to do that right now, but when you're setting it up, you create your Sims. Always save them at least to your library. Even if you don't upload them, you want to have them saved just because. And while you're doing that, or while you're creating them, the other thing you want to think of is if you're going to be blogging, you want to take pictures. And to do that, all you have to do is hit the C key, and you can do that even in Create a Sim. In fact, there's some really cool things. See, if I hit C, and it'll tell me that my screenshot was saved, and it'll tell me where it is. And that's something that you'll need to know to pull the picture up later. Let's see. So taking pictures of you always save your sim. You always take pictures of them. Whether you take pictures of each outfit is up to you. There is a way to do like a Create a Sim outfit presentation, which I can show you. I have a couple of those on some of my sites. Wrong window. I have too many windows. Okay, if I go back here, I have one of my challenges is this. And I did some outfit tours here, like these. And basically I just do it in Paint, and it shows what each outfit is for each sim. And that's a really good way to introduce your Sims and show a little bit about what their style is for a challenge. Another challenge that I did those in is my diversity experiment. Every time I age up a Sim, I do an outfit tour for them. And that's something that I've just recently got into doing. So that's one thing that you can do when you're getting ready to do a challenge. Okay, let's see. With base game, I pulled together a pool, a wedding venue, a park, a library that I like, a church for historical stuff over the months. Usually renovated because they previously used packs, and I'm not much of a builder. Now I use them in every save. That's a good thing. The only thing that saves me from using Max's lots because I'm frustrated there isn't much base game stuff on the gallery. That's true. I actually have a few lots that I've put up that are designed. One of the challenges I made is this Build a Pack challenge. And it's designed for doing base game plus one pack and making it and basically highlighting each pack in a house. So I have some things on the gallery. I haven't done much on that for quite a while, but I do have some gallery stuff that's base game plus one pack. Back to starting, we're going to get out of this. Back to starting your challenge. After you've made the family and take pictures of them, you also want to remember to take some pictures of the house and a picture of them, quote unquote, moving in. Like, let's see, where can I show that off? In my, no, it's Ramblers. Every time I start a new gen, I show a picture of them moving in, which is a really good feature pick to use, which I'll go into a little bit more later. But this picture that's up top is actually a featured photo, and it will be listed on your when you post. Like if I have an all post thing, it always shows up in the headline. This is another featured photo, and I try to use one that will tell what that story is going to be about. And if it's the beginning of a challenge, she moves in, that's all she's got. And it's a good way of illustrating that to the reader. Another thing you're going to want to do is save. Save both the house as it starts and your Sims and the rest of the world. So if you have a backup save for your, I'm going to go back to main menu. Like I have a backup save when I start a challenge. Like I have, that's a good one to do. My history challenge, not history, my timeline adventure. See, this is where I have it for play, and this is Gen 4. But if I go back and I wanted to start the whole thing over, this was back in the first gen. This is the one previous to it. But I also have this one, where this is the way they were when I started it. Another one I think I did that on is I do that for Tales of Sulani. Every time I change generation, I put an extra save there so I know, like, this is my decades challenge, the way it started. Needless to say, their family's a little different now, but this is how I started. So if something goes wrong and I lose that file, I don't lose the whole world that I started. Oh, you save backups at age transitions. That's another way to do it. I know a lot of people will also specifically go in and do makeovers and save their Sims every time they have an age transition in the family and just drop it into your own gallery, like households. And like this, I have the end of the generation saved. And this is the end of the generation for my Schwartz challenge, my Not So Berry. And I've been trying really hard to remember to save the start of a generation as well, because I tend to forget to do that, and I really shouldn't. Okay, let's see. Outline, where was I? Once you've got your save set up and your backup done, next thing I'm gonna go into is actually setting up the blog. I'm gonna actually show you for WordPress. I can literally go in, add a new site, and what you're gonna want to do is, first thing you have to do obviously is pick a name. You can skip it for right now, and we'll just say I'm gonna make a blog for my Hoarder's House Challenge. Okay, so this is the one you usually want to pick, the wordpress.com, because you really don't want to pay for it. This is free. That's the best way to do it. Next thing you're going to have to do is pick a template. This is all about finding what you actually want your blog to look like. There's a lot of different things you can have it look like. They have tons of free ones. I really like the one that I use. You can, and as I say, you can customize it or change it later. Let me see. I'm just gonna grab one and And I'll just grab this one. And I can, like, you can pick whatever you want, but you'll want to pick a template that really suits what you're going to do. And it'll show, like, see how it's got the latest posts here? It'll have the featured photo that I just talked about, and then a little bit about the thing. So I'm just going to use this one for now. And you can also skip this. And you want to skip plans. Select a plan. You want free. So select, and it'll build your site for you. After you have the site started, the first thing you're going to need to do is set up a home page, which is what everybody's going to pop in and find out about you, about your blog. Your home page should have, like, if you look at the home page that I set up for my main blog, I have a little bit about me and my history, and then I have my current posting rotation and schedule on there, but you don't need to have that. You can also have a little bit about your challenges or challenge that you're doing, and have a link to the first post or the introduction page. But a home page is really important because that will introduce you to your audience. Another thing you're going to want to do before you actually start playing your challenge is set up a welcome page, like I have here for this one. Basically, this page, you'll want to do a few things. You want to have the rules that you're using linked. So not only you can find them, but other people can find them as well. Because a lot of people are going to read the challenge and be like, well, you know, this sounds fun. I want to do it too. And if you have the challenge rules linked from your page, it gives thanks to the author. And then you can also have the chapters listed for that particular challenge. Another one you can look at that has a huge welcome page is my Ramblers one, because I've done like these house ones. That's basically generation 1. I had 2 chapters for that. I am all the way up to having 13 houses. But if somebody wanted to go back and look up what happened in previous houses, I have this all listed. If I didn't have those listed on a welcome page, which is really easy to set up, I'll show you how to do that. If you don't have those chapter pages links, it's a lot harder to find them in the blog. And this, see, I have the challenge rules listed as well as the Sims forums pages for each of the like the challenge writer in this one has, each house or generation has its own forum topic. So I have those linked mostly so I can find them. So, and the other thing you can do on your front page, I'll show you another one, is you can, like, this is actually the home page for two separate challenges. There's my Shepherd's Decades and my Tangled Yarn, which is a story. And this page has an introduction to show what the rules are different for each of them. They're both Decades challenges, but I tweak the rules a little for each of them. And then they've got their contents and all that good stuff. But that's how that works. And it's it's really important to have a page, a welcome page for any challenges that you do, simply as a way so people can find everything on that challenge. Like here's another one. I have a little picture to illustrate the challenge, and I have the challenge rules linked, and then these. Another thing you can do on that page is actually list what mods you're using. Sometimes you do that so you can remember. Other people may be interested in it as well, and any rules exceptions that you're doing. But that's how you do that. And let's say, let's go, we'll just launch this. I want, yeah, free plan. And this one. So, and then you continue editing. What you're going to do is you're going to go to your dashboard. To set up your first page, you go here and you add a new page. And it will, you can start with a blank page, you can start with a template of some sort. I usually will start with a blank page, and then I will put in a title and all the stuff that I just talked about. I'll leave a space for story chapters. I will introduce what happened. Like I said, this is an 8-generation challenge with each generation based on a different board game, with the whole challenge being based on a Monopoly board. I'm a huge fan of board games, so I figured this challenge was right up my alley. Also started it during the period where I was starting to burn out on Sims and was trying new things to get my interest back. Spoiler, didn't get my interest back. I ended up taking a break, but I came back. Now it's time to continue the challenge. So I have a little history here of when I started the challenge, why I started the challenge, and basically just introducing it. And that's something that you'll probably want to do on that. Once you have that set up and you're ready to start playing and posting your challenge, then you save everything. You don't have to share it until you already have posts. But I'm going to go ahead and show you a little bit about how to play a challenge for posting purposes. And I want where are we? Nope. Master Simmer is somewhere in here. Nope, that's the name game. Try to remember how long ago it's been since I played them. That's Eco World Start. That's... Wait. There's Rambler. Name game. There we are. I knew it's been a while. The last time I actually played these guys was in... So, I'll show you a little bit about how to actually play for either commentary or game-driven stories. Story-driven obviously is done a different way. Hey, Thallow, welcome in. And welcome to the lurk. This is my Master Simmer challenge, which is one that I've been working on for a while. I believe this is 3rd gen, maybe? I don't know. I can look at the website real easily. Let me switch over here. Now that we've got them loaded. I don't know why it removed things. I have everything. So, that's silly. But, so, when I'm doing this, the main thing you want to remember is that you need to document this for everybody else because it's not done on stream, it's done through pictures. So you pay attention and you're the person who's in charge of figuring out what is important to take a picture of. And I try to do all milestones and that sort of things. So in this challenge, I've got Claire, who's our heir, and Cody, her husband. These are the previous gens. Yeah, this is my third gen. Um, but the previous gens is Bryn and Miles. So if you look at Bryn, this is where I started with Heidi and Brayden. And Claire, I guess technically is 4th gen. And we haven't done kids yet because I haven't gotten far enough in their goals. And her goals for this one, another thing I'll do is when actually I'll show that real quick on my blog. I will often, do I have the right one up? Yeah, okay. I will often, especially for like we're looking at my master simmer, this is the beginning of this generation. I will use a block just to set up what the goals are. And this is something that I can look back on and I know exactly what I need to do. So Claire is supposed to be completing the Friend of Animals aspiration, needs to have a pet with 1,500 Instagram followers. She needs to have level 5 pet training skills, train one of her dogs with all tricks, and have one of the dogs have puppies. And then Cody has his own set of goals. So what I have done while playing this challenge is I went in and I took pictures of them. As I said, for the beginning, I introduced them, I introduced their traits. I introduced their house. And see, here's a little bit more about the house. But having that goal thing up here is incredibly helpful, not only for you, but for people who come in and read later, because that way they know what's going on. And this is all introduction, and then I got into playing and what actually happens in this particular challenge. And apparently I didn't link that. That's okay. Let's go back to Master Simmer. Contents. Did I ever do a 4.2? No. 4.2 is the challenge or the chapter that I'm on now. And the way I pick my goal sets for this challenge is I roll a dice and these are the set numbers here. That's how I pick for this particular challenge. But anyways, so when I'm playing, obviously the most important thing to do is to take pictures. Some things you want to take pictures of anytime they get a goal or complete a goal for your challenge. Why do we have a trash plant outside? I don't know, but now we have trash plants. Anytime they complete a goal, either an aspiration or something they need to do for a challenge, you're going to want to take a picture. Like he needs to get to level 4 and 4 skills. Let's see where he is. He has handiness almost there. So I'm going to set him over here and let him work on that. Nope, come over here. There you go. Work on your handiness. And Claire, why don't you get up, get something to eat. There's also another thing you want to think about is, I don't know why she's throwing stuff away, but that's okay. Another thing you want to think of is there's two ways to take pictures. Well, actually, there's three. One is just hitting the C key, and it will pop this up, and you can just hit X, or you can label them. I know a lot of people do. I don't bother with it because I take so many screenshots. Um, Another way to do it is actually hitting print screen. Okay, vampire, that's cool. Thank you for stopping by. And good luck with the bird situation because that's just crazy. Um, but if you hit print screen, it saves a copy of what's actually on your screen at the moment on the full screen. So you'll have all the UI show up as well. So if something happens up here, like it says New Year's Eve was successful, if finishing that or like getting to handiness 3, if I want to take a picture of this here, I would hit print screen and then I go to let me switch to my display capture. And then I'll go in, like I have it set here. I have paint set up. And if I hit print screen and then I hit Control V here, this is literally what it shows on my screen. It actually shows my other screen too, but we don't need to do that. And what I would do is go in here, select what I want to copy. In this case, I'm handiness level 3, and I'll crop that. File, save as, select the JPEG, and where I want to save it to. Like I have a setup for each of them. Master Simmer is right here, and I'll just save it into my Master Simmer, and I'll give it a title like this was for handiness, and I'll save this, and it'll tell me exactly where to do it. A lot of times if I do a print screen, a hint for that to figure out where it goes in your timeline is if he gets like a handiness level or he gets a promotion, I'll take a picture of it. It doesn't show anything in game, but say he just came home with a promotion, I will take a picture of him at the front mailbox. And that will remind me, that's right, he got a promotion. I took a picture of the UI and I need to put it in there. The thought bubbles, correct. They don't show up unless you print screen. However, there are some people who want to capture the UI all the time. If you go into screen capture options here, there is a button here to capture all of UI. That will allow you to catch thought bubbles if you want that up all the time. However, it's kind of annoying. Um, but it's this memory picture capture thing, the capture UI. You can also do it for video captures. Um, you can also tell it to stop popping up that thing to tell you you just took a picture. But if you want to catch thought bubbles all the time, you can click this and it will catch the thought bubbles in your screenshots. Um, I typically, if I want a thought bubble, I will do the print screen route. It's just a personal preference. Other people want the thought bubbles all the time. It's or the UI. I don't like having the UI in all the time, so I'll pick and choose where I want it to be. Um, let's see, where was I in my list? Okay. Some tips for actually playing. Um, oh wait, the third way to take screenshots is there are programs designed to grab screens with just the press of a button. Like C grabs the screen programmed in um, Sims, but you can have another key set to another program to automatically take pictures. I don't remember what they're called at the time, but there are programs designed to just grab screenshots. And I know a lot of people who do use them. Let me take a drink real quick. Okay, so some tips for while you're playing. Um, these tips are mostly for commentary and game-driven stories. I'll go into the differences for story-driven in a bit. But the biggest thing I would say is to take each play session in small doses. I suggest doing this real simply, like playing literally I will see how it's Sunday at 8:15. I will play until this save. If I was doing this for a post, I would play until the next Sunday at 6 a.m. And every Sunday 6 a.m. I save it and it's ready for and that I use as how much of the post that I'm going to use. And I won't play past that until I've posted that particular chapter. Um, but the 1 week mark tends to be a really good way to do that because then you know how much to play and you always have things organized, I guess is the way I want to put it. But if you're doing a 1 week or you could do like 3 days, play it, save it, hop out of game, take care of your pictures and your post. Don't play ahead of that without taking care of one post at a time, especially when you're first blogging. Um, when you've been blogging for a while, sometimes I'll play ahead. It's just, but the problem with playing ahead is it's easy to get overwhelmed with too many pictures to go through at once. It's so much better to just do things one at a time, get it ready, then you can go, if you really want to play some more, you can go back in game and play more, play another week, set up the pictures, and do it that way. Um, but you want to take pictures of anything you see that might be important or fun or even just something funny to add to your blog or stories. There's maybe times, let's see, I already went through the UI stuff and how to take thought bubbles. Remember, you can always cull pictures later. You do not have to use every picture you take. Um, and yeah, I still have it there. Okay, I want to show you my screenshots folder. I take a lot of pictures. See? Lots of pictures. Um, but I don't always take pictures. Like here, I'm taking pictures for a challenge, and I am not always using every picture. Like this particular picture here is what I used as a blooper because it has nothing to do with anybody else that pertains to the story because Vlad is not in the story. However, I found it hilarious that he was literally serenading my couple at the karaoke bar. So, like if I was using this picture for the actual picture post, which I'll show later, um, I cut Vlad out. I cropped it down here. I used this part of the picture. But for the blooper reel, I pulled it up here. And I'll usually post those at the bottom of a picture. And I'll be like, that was really funny. Or there's these pictures here, which I used to put in, which were specifically taken to you for the family tree, which I'll also show you later. Um, but I don't always use every picture. I tend to use more pictures than most people do. I know a lot of people will take like 20 pictures and use 10 of them. I usually will take 20, use 19 to 80, 18, you know. I'll use most of the pictures I take. Um, but yeah, I take a ton of screenshots. Another thing you want to do is if you do like I do and you take a ton of screenshots, every month or two, maybe three, clean out your screenshots thing. Copy all your screenshots to another folder and move them into, say, your documents, your pictures area. Like I have old screenshots folders that are in some of my other stuff. So I don't always keep, like, I have it in my backup folder, actually, is where I put them. But, um, so I don't use every photo. And, it depends how many photos I use for each week. Um, like each post, when I do this one, like the Master Simmer posts, usually I'll have between 40 and 60 pictures for a week that I will end up using. And that's usually a pretty good number for one post. However, if I'm looking at my story posts, I use a lot less photos for a story post, partially because there's so much more text and I don't want the page to get too long. So I have probably about 20 photos on this page for the story. Um, and then I'll split it off for another one. So for this page, I played a whole week and I saved the pictures, but I split them into more posts, which is completely possible to do. Um, let's see. I use most of mine too, but when I started out, I took a lot more to give yourself options. Very good point. I didn't early on and I got stuck with bad pictures, so I found that helpful. Yeah, the more pictures you take, the better you are to end up with good shots in between the bad ones. Um, as you learn, as Cindy said, you get better at taking and posing the shots um, as you start taking them. But early on, don't expect to have perfect pictures. So take more pictures than you think you're going to need because you can always look at them later and be like, oh, that wasn't a good shot. I'll use this one instead. But if you take more than one picture of a certain event, you have more of a chance of getting a good shot. Um, I tend to use all of my pictures or most of my pictures for the simple reason that I've gotten pretty good at staging pictures. I've been doing this for quite a while. Um, I've gotten pretty good at, I tend to keep, I'll do walls up if I remember to, but I don't always remember to do walls up. But when staging a picture, like if I want to take a picture of this, I will try to make sure that if there's something else going on in the picture that I want to take a picture, I'll often look at what's going on in the background and turn the picture to there. So like if I want to remember here, she was out picking up dog poo. I'll take a picture there and I'll point it towards there. So when I crop the picture, I have this in it and I don't have to be wondering why did I take this picture? Um, but walls up is a good way to do it. A lot of people really hate seeing things like the plumb bob or walls down because it sort of breaks immersion a little bit. Personally, I like seeing the plumb bob, but a lot of people will switch control to another character so they don't have to take a picture of it. Or you can also turn off headline effects. There's a cheat to do that to get rid of the plumb bob if it bothers you. Um, One other thing I can suggest, taking notes while playing is a good thing. I keep a stack of post-it notes. I literally have a huge stack of post-it notes. I also have a little notebook, and I keep a pen right next to my keyboard, and I'll write down important things. Some of these things that you want to write down is names of Sims you meet. You're not going to remember these. So if you meet somebody that could be important, like um, a possible spouse, and you learn some of his traits or something, write those traits down. You're not going to remember them. And if you want to bring them into the story on your blog, you're going to have to load the whole game back up, find what his traits are, look to see what his name is, and then you can put it in the blog. It's so much easier if you have it on a little notebook in front of you. Um, because having to load the game back up when you're in the middle of doing something can sometimes derail the entire process. Um, Another thing you want to do, and this is just general gameplay, save often. It should already be a habit you have, but if anything important happens, save because you never know when Sims is going to crash. Really, it happens to everybody. Um, but the biggest thing I can say is when you're first starting out and perhaps even later, don't play more than one section at a time. Um, if you get more usable pictures than you want to put into one post, you can split the post while you're writing. So say I was doing a week of Master Simmer and I got like 100 pictures and they were all good pictures. I wanted to use them, but 100 pictures is a huge post. I wouldn't recommend it unless you're not doing any text at all. You want it to be in smaller doses so people don't get bored, because people do. And so I would split that into two posts. And you can do that while you're writing very easily, but it would still be a week of play. It would still be one thing. Um, but when you're first starting out, don't purposely play for more than one post at a time. Why? Because it's easy to get overwhelmed. If you have too many pictures or too much stuff to write, it's also easy to forget what you were going to say about a picture. Um, I'm pretty good at remembering why I took certain pictures, but if you play more than one piece of time at a time, like for one post, if you play more than that, it's really easy to end up with pictures that you sit there and you go, why did I take that picture? And a lot of times you simply can't remember. Even looking at the picture before and after it, you're like, I have no idea why I took this picture. And then you don't know what to write and you end up cutting the picture out when honestly it could have been for an important reason. So taking notes and taking things in small doses is a really good thing. Also, getting overwhelmed with too many pictures or too much back information that you haven't already posted, it can lead very quickly to getting overwhelmed and quitting writing, which is something you really would like to avoid because you started for a reason and you're having fun with the blogging. You don't want to get too overwhelmed and quit because that's just not a good way to do it. Um, and one other thing I want to handle is how to change generations. Um, I've still got that. We're gonna go here. Say, um, looking at one challenge, I have a lot of generations, is this one. Um, every challenge has different rules for switching generations. For this one, like I have the end of a chapter, I go through, I will make sure I list the goals again, go through what happened in the chapter, and I get to the end and I'll be like, okay, well, here's what the house looked like at the end of the thing. Here's what the status screens looked like. Like this is what I had at the end of this gen, and I put it up there so I can remember what I had, especially like what the family members were, um, grades, if that plays a factor for like the air. Um, I'll put these up, like the skills up, especially if those were one of the goals that you had to have. Like this one, I believe you had to have, yeah, level 10 rocket science and scientist career. I put the actual skills picture of it in by using print screen just to prove that I've got it. See this picture here, I moused over this and it showed that I was at Scientist 10, so I could prove that I finished that goal. And then for the next, to start the next generation, I have the Welcome to the New World picture. I go over the goals, I introduce the new characters and what skills they start with, because sometimes you'll have skills from the previous generation. Um, but I the way I change generations is I make sure I have all the new goals written down. I also make sure I'm introducing people because, quite honestly, people don't know. You can't tell from looking at pictures who's who. So introducing them is very important, especially traits, because people wonder, how what that sim is going to be like, and the traits can show you a little bit about that. Um, so that's pretty much how you play. Um, Now formatting pictures. Um, I use MS Paint. Quite literally, it's a little free program that's already on your thing. And I will go in, like I have these pictures here. I'll show you how I go into crop. I'll I'll right click on my picture in my screenshots folder and I'll say open with paint. Then I'll go in and I use this select button up here. I'll select what I want to crop. Like this one, I want to know that she's standing in front of the garbage can by the mailbox. So I will crop it like this. I'll do that, and then I hit this button here that says crop. That makes it a smaller picture. And you will specifically, you don't need the huge whole picture to show what was happening. Like this picture, it's small enough that I see my sim and I see what was happening. She's in labor, she's in front of the mailbox. And then the next thing I will do is I will resize it. And I resize it by pixels. The particular theme that I'm using on my blog uses 700 wide pictures. I would suggest using anywhere from between 700 to 1,000 wide. I wouldn't go any wider than that. And hey Red, we're talking about how to blog Sims today. So, and how right now we're going through how to take care of pictures. So I will literally tell it to do 700 wide pictures and I will save it as that by doing this. I save as. See, right now it's in a ping format, which is the PNG format. Those formats, they're great for quality. They're really bad for posting online because they take a while to load because they're bigger files. So what I'll do is I will go in under JPEG and I will tell it to save as a JPEG. Then I'll go into the folder that it's supposed to be in and I will save it there as a JPEG. I don't necessarily change the title of it, and I'll show you how I sort them later. So I will save that. I'm not going to replace it, but that's because I've already culled these pictures for another one. But um, one thing you don't want to do is use the full PNG screenshots that it gives you. You don't want to use the whole thing. And if you do like the whole picture, like this particular one is pretty good. If I look at the entire picture, I've got, it's fairly decent. Although there's a lot of white space off to the side that you don't really need. So it would probably still get culled. I love the look on poor Callie's face. She's like, I really just bleh. But um, cutting the pictures down in size will do a couple things for you. One, it makes the blog faster to load. And as I said earlier, if it takes more than 3 seconds to load a blog page, more than 90% of your viewers are going to leave. They're not going to stick around for it. That's why you don't use the PNG files. You use JPEGs because it's smaller files. It also, the other reason to not do it is it bloats the size of your blog. If you're using huge picture sizes, you only have so much space on your, I'm going to go back to my other site, this one. And if I go into my stats, no, not that one. I want to go to, hold on, this will take me to the right page. It shows that I have 18% of my space used. That is, I mean, if I was still on the free thing, it would still be only what? It would be twice that. It would be like 36% used. Or something close to that. My math is horrible. But the reason I don't have a whole lot of space used is because I use the JPEG files to upload. I don't upload the PNG PNG files that Sims takes for you. And that keeps your space used small so that you can keep using the blog, and there's no reason why you can't host multiple challenges on one blog like I do. The challenge with that then becomes making sure that all of them are accessible for people with having good menus. So let's see, like my menus, like I have the challenge rules that I've made here. A page about me being on Twitch now, and then I have my challenges divided up into the stories. Like if you want to read actual creative writing and Simlit, you would go to the stories. If you just want to see what I do on challenges, you look under challenges because these are the ones that are all commentary blogs. Those are the easy ones to read, easy ones to see. Those tend to be funnier as well. Let's see. Where was I? Pictures, even formatting. As I said, like I use MS Paint to take care of my pictures. Another program that I honestly sometimes will use if I need to have any transparency in it, you can use Paint 3D. I honestly avoid it. I don't like Paint 3D, but I can use it if you're doing like an infographic, like I did for this shell here. I made this in Canva, which is a website. I'll show you Canva. It's just canva.com. It's free and they have all sorts of different stuff, and you literally put the thing together with clip art and design it in this UI, and it's all put together here. You change the words, you change the pictures used, and then you just go up here, download the picture, and you've got an infographic. and it's all done for free. So that's kind of cool. That's another thing. I already went over how to crop your pictures. You want to make sure you're highlighting what you took the picture for. And that's something that you'll get better at doing as you take pictures. Like in this particular screenshot here, I'll show you. If I was going to crop this, I would crop and use this part of the picture and not the rest. Like, let me go into Paint real quick. I would go down here and I would use this part of the picture because the rest of it is pretty unnecessary. This centers the character and shows you what was happening during that particular shot. But as time goes on, you will find you get better at setting up your pictures. At the beginning, don't expect to have every picture be perfect. Um, it's something you have to learn. Um, the size picture that you set it up to be, like I do 700 pixels wide. Specifically, I resize it to that because of that's what this particular theme uses, how wide the pictures are. But anywhere from usually from like 700 to 1,000 wide is a good thing, and is a good scale, and it'll depend entirely on what theme you're using. Now another thing you want to think about is how you're going to store the pictures. My pictures file is I store them in folders titled by the challenge name. Like my Shepherd's is over here. My Shepherd's Decades is here. Like this one is my crazy one. Putting them in folders that you can understand what they are later is the best way to do it. Also, a way to look at it is when you're sorting them, always go up here. View is up here. You want to sort by date modified ascending. That way you can go down to the bottom and you know when you updated this picture. So all of these are in order and I can just literally drag them into my blog and have them ready to go. I just take, say this was the beginning of a chapter here, I would just take this one, put it in the blog, and put the rest of the pictures in order, and I will show you how you write up a post from there. Let's see, I have a post ready to look at. Posts, drafts. So this is one of my story blogs. I'll go in here and this is what it looks like when I'm putting together a story. This question mark here, I have this already set up. That's where the title of the chapter is going to be. I have it there ready to go. And I copied all the pictures that I have already formatted. So after you format them, you put them in order. You go through, and I have all of these pictures in the order they happened. And it's all ready to be written into a post. All I have to do is go in and then start writing about it. Like in this one, I would get into Callie's brain, who's the sim is Callie, and I would go in and I would say, okay, what was she thinking about at the moment? She was on a date. She's chatting with her boyfriend, and well, he's not really a boyfriend. He's just a date. Because she's a romantic. She's a serial romantic aspiration. So, and then she goes home. She paints. But I would go through and I'd be like, what is she thinking about as these pictures are happening? And use these to illustrate how things are going. So, basically, to write up a post, the first step after you've played everything is you sort the pictures. You go through, you format them, put them in order, and stick them in the post so they're ready to go. Um, I put them in the post in order because that way I can run a picture count so I know how many pictures I've got for that chapter. And I tend to, like with my stories, I tend to use around 20 pictures, sometimes less, and it keeps the stories in um it keeps them short enough to keep them interesting. Um then my commentary ones I usually do 50, 60 pictures because there's only a sentence or two written on each picture. Um if I ended up with more pictures than I wanted to have, I have three choices. I can cull and just not use some of them. Sometimes I'll just go with it and be like, okay, I'll put a warning at the top of the picture, at the top of the post, and be like, this post is a little longer than I wanted it to be, so just letting you know ahead of time. Or I can split the post into two or more posts. After your pictures are sorted, it's time to start writing. For each picture, you want to describe what's happening, what you were thinking, or what the sim was thinking, basically, and you play it by ear. There's a lot of ways to do commentary. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes just jotting down what was going on. Sometimes you're going for, telling the people how to play this particular challenge. And sometimes, like if you're doing a story, it's just getting across what was happening. Um, your third step is proofreading. Don't overlook this. Um, you want to look for typos and misspellings, anything that you'd be embarrassed if you put it up there like that. And quite honestly, sometimes it's hard to see the proofreading. Let me go back to other posts. Let's see, view posts, published pictures. Like this last one. Sometimes it's hard to find typos because you read what you think you wrote. It's very hard to always find them unless you're doing something like reading out loud. So one thing you can do is if I will have if it's a particular, like it's an important chapter or whatever, or I don't know for sure if what I was trying to get across is what was came across, I'll have my husband read it or I'll have my son read it and tell me what they think about it. Having somebody else proofread is a huge bonus because they'll read what you wrote. You don't always read exactly what you wrote. Sometimes you read what you think you wrote. And it makes it very hard to proofread. But yes, don't skimp on proofreading. Cindy's completely right. I agree. I still go back to uh, posts that I have already published and look at it and be like, oh, I wish I hadn't used that sentence. But reading it out loud to yourself is a really good way to do it because you'll find things that are wrong. Um, like I went through this outline that I made for this presentation. I read it out loud to my husband and made him listen to it, even though he had no idea what I was talking about. But as I was going through, I'm like, well, that's wrong and that's not helpful. So proofreading is extremely important. Your fourth step is publishing. Um, and when you hit publish, there are some things, especially on this particular thing. Like if I went, um, let's go back to my other post, my draft. If I went in and I said this was ready to publish, and I click publish, it actually takes me to a, are you sure you're ready to publish? I can automatically have it post to Twitter that I posted it. Um, yeah, I totally shout out to other sim players and bloggers partners for putting up with us reading random things. I completely agree with that because my son has done it, my husband's done it. Never tried to read it to my sister. She would probably think I was insane. But having somebody to read to, even if they don't understand what you're saying, just reading it out loud, you find stuff that you missed. So if I wanted to publish, I would say I want to publish it immediately. That can be changed. I can schedule posts ahead of time. So if I have more posts than I want to publish, I try to do one post a day. Obviously, I haven't been doing that because I've been doing a lot of streaming, but when I'm on top of things, I publish like once a day or once every other day. Um, and that's a pretty decent schedule. Some people do like once a week. That's another good schedule. And you'll want to, when you publish, you can have it automatically set. Like I have this, I can turn that off, I can turn it back on. And I'll have it go to um, Twitter and tell people that I actually posted something. Because step 5 after publishing is to promote your blog. I'm really bad at doing this. Honestly, I do blogging mostly for me. So I have a record of what happened in my challenges. Um, but I've really been happy to have this automatic Twitter feature because then it tells other people when I post. Um, Another way to share stuff is actually on the Sims forums. If I go in here to my bookmarks, I have my Tales of Sulani. Um, there's ways if you start up your own um topic, like this has 3 pages full, and I just post my updates to the Sims forums, and that way people know that I've done it. There are other places you can post them to. You can, like, Bullprop is a good one. I think Mod the Sims you can. I even think Carl's Forums has it. But there's a lot of different ways to share it to other people who like to read Sims, um, Simlit. So there's a lot of different ways to promote it. Or you can just literally share it to your friends. Um, I have on my Discord a channel specifically designated for sharing Simlit. So whether it's commentary or whatever, if you write a post, feel free to throw it in my Discord. And my Discord is here. Um, and you are welcome to post anything that you've written challenge wise in that Simlit thing. That's why it's there. So that's the basic steps to setting up a post and how to do it. Um, the only other thing to get into now is some advanced techniques. I consider doing um, game driven or not game driven stories, like just creative writing on what your Sims were thinking when they went through these pictures is pretty easy to do. And that's what a lot of people do. Like my Tales of Sulani, my mermaid chapters, those are all done just as a game driven story. Um, Sometimes, however, you have a challenge, like I have this foreshadowed sunset challenge that I started because I read the rules and an idea for a story popped into my head and I wanted to follow the story. And to make that work, I had to go through in the um in the game and I had to take pictures by posing. I call it posing. It's not necessarily using CC poses, but you can. And Um, yes, I was just playing it, but at the same time, I was trying to get pictures that were going to illustrate the story that I wanted. Like in this one, I sent them to this retail store, even though he didn't need to For the game, he didn't need to go get an engagement ring. For the story, I needed to see him going with his friend Mariko to go get his girlfriend an engagement ring. And I went through and I posed all these pictures, and I took a lot of pictures at this retail lot, literally just to explain what was going on. Even though I didn't need to do that for gameplay. Um, and that's why doing story driven is a lot harder, because you do have to go through and figure out how to get the correct expressions, correct things that the Sims are doing that are going to illustrate your story. Um, the process for writing posts that are story driven is very much the same, um, all the way up until the time that you get to the real writing. But once you get to the writing, you again are looking at a wall of pictures. Take it one picture at a time. Decide what they may have been feeling or thinking, and use it as prompts. However, if it doesn't make sense in the correct order that you took them in, with game driven, or not with game driven, with story driven, there's a lot of times I will take the pictures out of order and then I shuffle them into the order that makes the most sense for the post. Like a lot of these pictures were taken on different days. Like I actually believe I did this photo shoot for the retail after I actually had already proposed to her, simply because I forgot that I was going to need that for the story. So I went back in to the game, didn't save it, sent them over there, got all the pictures, and didn't save the game because I didn't need that gameplay saved, because nothing really happened. I just took pictures, and I used that as photo shooting. Um, so yeah, the pictures weren't in order, but it all made sense once I got into posting. Another example of that in this particular story is like I used this featured picture to show um, some suspense and show what was going to be happening in the picture. And then I went back in time and showed how he got to that point. And see, there we are, and he goes to visit Vlad, and all this is just photo posing. Um, and some of it literally didn't happen in the same order. I got these pictures in different orders, but and I did some perspective shots as well. Another thing you can do in WordPress is stuff like this. These were just regular screenshots that I put into a collage, and I could show everything that happened through pictures as opposed to just doing words about it. So that's another thing you can do. Um, let's see. Another thing you can do for blogs to enhance it, just some extra stuff as I'm wrapping things up on this. Where is it? Challenges. Do do do. My decades challenge. I have listed on here their not only the challenge rules, the store sheet. I also have their family records listed, which sometimes you're gonna actually want to have a spreadsheet to find out when things happened. Like this is how I find out when they're going to be aging, and whether I've played that day or not. See, I check off each day as I go through it, simply because the way this challenge works, time passes as the days go by. Another thing I want to show off is this site here. If you want to put together a family tree, yes, Cindy and I are friends of spreadsheets, but you can also put together family trees. Like I have a family tree for this, and it's made in this app called the Plum Tree. It's designed it's called the plumtreeapp.com, and you can set up as many family trees as you want to on your account, and you take a picture of the sim, it crops it for the picture, or it crops it for you, and then you set up a family tree. And this is another way that you can enhance your blog. You can link this to, see, I go in and I just hit publish the tree. I say it's save, and then I'll go save settings. Okay. An unknown error. Okay, tree published. There it goes. And then I can go in, I can also save the tree. And this is what other people will see when they go to this particular um tree, and it shows them like I have written down when she was born. In the case of this sim, when she died, she was stillborn, so she didn't live. Um, and this one, she died in childbirth, so she lived to 1895. Um, but sometimes having a family tree is useful, especially if you have a really convoluted, strange family tree. Um, there are other programs that people use to do family trees. Um, Family Echo is another one. I had more trouble figuring it out. It's a little harder to work with than Plumtree, but this is another page that you can do to do family trees. But yeah, some people who do challenges will also have spreadsheets set up for Google Docs. Let me go. I have some that are literally set up for, oops, wrong one. Google Sheets, score sheets. Let me see. History challenge score sheets. Like this one, like this is the straight history challenge. There is actually scores that you can get, and this is how you track that. So for this particular challenge, I have this linked on the starting page. But so that is pretty much how you blog, and it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of different reasons to do it. But you know, I'm gonna exit to the main menu. Did you ever stop playing a challenge? I lose interest quite often in putting up a real blog for a challenge. I might lose interest fairly soon. Seems like a lot. I mean, a little Google Doc for my own enjoyment is one thing, but a real blog, honestly, the way I handle that is I tend to continue playing a challenge for quite a while. However, there are times that I get to a point where I don't want to play it anymore. That's why I have this history section here where I, like, for my apartment switch, I already finished it. I'm done with the challenge, but I wanted to leave it there so other people could see how I do it. Some other ones, like I had this plumb bobbing through time, which was my first playthrough of my timeline adventure. I never finished it. I stopped, and I just wasn't interested to go back to it. So it goes to like chapter, I don't know. It goes into like chapter 3 and then it just completely stops. So I have it in my history thing. So if I wanted to go back to it, I could. But sometimes you switch, and that's okay. I mean, yeah, sometimes you get tired of it. Sometimes you want to move on, but there's no reason not to post. Or you put them on hiatus. Like I have these ones here on hiatus, which is just another word for paused. Like I have like this traveler's blog that I started. I always meant to go back to it, and I still do mean to go back to it. But I stopped and I lost interest in it. And I can go back if I want to because it's there. But if I don't want to, you don't have to. You know, you're doing this for fun, ultimately. So that's why one reason I have all of my stories on one blog. So I have the chance of, how do I want to say this? Um, Basically, everybody can find all of my stories in one place. And if I stop a story, I will still have other stories there that are still going, if that makes sense. That's why I have everything on one blog. There are people who specifically do one story per blog, and that only works if you're actually going to keep the story up. If you sometimes lose interest or decide to switch it off, that doesn't work as well because a lot of times your readers don't realize that you have other blogs. That's why I do it on one. So, but yes, to answer your question, I most definitely have stopped playing challenges. Quite a lot. There've been a bunch of stuff. That's a good point, Cindy. Sometimes bringing some, like if you have a challenge that has to have an air poll, which is letting other people decide who the heir is going to be out of a group of kids. While you're waiting for that poll to go, which I can show you, I'm trying to figure out, where's one that I did polls with? This guy. I did an air poll in this one where I showed each person that is eligible. I had Jackson, Cody, and Tyson, and everybody voted for who it would be. I honestly thought, I had been thinking all along that it was going to be the firstborn Jackson that would win, but it turned out that Cody won, so I had to backpedal and be like, okay, well I have to play an extra week because Cody's not ready to take over yet. So, and while I was waiting for this to go on, I went back and worked with an older challenge or a different challenge. So I always have something that I can play. But yeah, does anybody have any questions? And feel free to ask, anybody, because Cindy blogs as well as I do. Let's see. I am most definitely not the only blogger that's out there. I have, in fact, that bullprop site that I showed you earlier. That's where I do a lot of my talking to other people who are there. So if I go to, yeah, bullprop.net, and there's a lot of people there that blog. Oh, Cindy's blog. Let me find it. Sims 4 Stories. I can find it right here, and I'll put it in chat. Disa one. Do do. That's one of the stories, and I think you can get to all of them from there, right, Cindy? Because they're all in the left-hand side. But that's Cindy's blog. She doesn't have as many stories as I do, but they're equally as fun to go through. So, yeah, feel free to check that out. And there's other, so no problem. I knew I could find it pretty easily because I had the blue prop up. But yeah, that's okay. You'll catch up. I do a lot of streaming now instead of blogging. I really want to get back to my blogs, but I haven't quite figured out how to balance the two yet. So I am working on it, but it's taking some. It's interesting because I do Sims on stream, so it's sometimes hard to get off a stream and be like, okay, well now I want to go work on blog, which is also Sims. So yeah, you have your Sims 2 stories here as well. Your Prosperity and Clovercrest and Megalahood. Yeah. You started on Blogger. I think I actually remember your Blogger stories. I think when I met you, you were still working on Prosperity. So, any other questions, Smith? I tried to be as thorough as possible. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure you were working on Prosperity Hood when I first met you. You didn't. In fact, I think I was one of the people that talked you into getting Sims 4 in the first place. That was back when Rala was still playing a lot. So we ended up talking you into getting Sims 4, and yeah, it's ultimately about having fun. If you end up with a story that you're not having fun with, try changing how you're blogging it. Like if you're blogging it with a story and it just seems too hard, do commentary for a while. See if that's easier. And, you know, say I was feeling really inspired and wanted to try the blogging thing. I'd just take pictures, do some creative writing, and then, try posting. Yeah, and feel free to watch this post or watch this thing over, because there's a lot of different tips in it. I will probably end up saving this file because it's on record, and I will probably put it on my YouTube, which I haven't quite started yet. But that way it'll be up there forever. But this video will be up on Twitch. I think it's 2 months before it disappears. So you're welcome to rewatch it. And if you have any questions, if I'm live or whatever, just ask in Discord. I really don't mind helping. And Cindy, yes, I am to blame for all the stories. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to blog. Do it as you see fit. Sometimes looking at other people's blogs will inspire you, and that's fine too. I know for sure I've been inspired to start things just because I read somebody's blog and be like, you know what? That would be a fun challenge. In fact, I have on my blog, I have on my home page, at the bottom of the page, if you actually scroll all the way down there, I have this list called planned challenges where I literally link to the challenge and say, here's a whole bunch of challenges that I haven't started that I would like to start someday. And I keep a list of them just because. So, I mean, There's plenty of things to do when it comes to blogging. And I know you started with Google Google Docs. That is perfectly acceptable. I mean, you can do that as well. You don't have to use a blog. I tend to because it's all in one spot and that works for me. But maybe Google Docs work better for you. So, I think that's pretty much everything. I will probably post my how to blog, the outline I used for this, on my blog, so that if you want to look through it, you're welcome to see it. So I'll post that there and a little bit later. But first of all, I am going to take a quick break, and when I come back, we can work on my not so berry. But yeah, I need to go to the bathroom and all that kind of good stuff. But I'm glad you enjoyed the information, and feel free to ask any questions that you have later. I mean, hi Rachel. We just finished discussing how to blog Sims. So we had a good stream. I am going to change my stream title to reflect that I'm going to go work on Not So Berry. I don't feel like the writing is the hard part right now. I'm inspired. I like creative writing. I enjoy exercising my English. Yes. Originally German. Cool. I would never have guessed that you were not native English speaker, miss. I honestly wouldn't. The hard part is feeling like I'm public on the internet, and what if I do something wrong because there's bad people out there, regret doing it? Yeah, there is that thought, but you don't need to put your actual name on a blog. Like, I don't think I have my full name anywhere on my blog. I mean, it may be somewhere, but it would be hard to find. So there's no reason to identify your name and anything other than your username. Like, I'm known as Thrall through a lot of communities, and for a long time I had trouble putting myself out there because I have a lot of social anxiety. But lately, after I've started streaming, I finally just decided that, you know what, I have fun doing this, and I'm just gonna keep doing it. So, yeah, you're gonna find some people that are nasty, but just ignore them and keep doing what's fun for you. I mean, that's the important part. So, I mean, if it's fun for you to blog, go ahead and blog. You don't have to put your name on it. So, and feel free to share your posts on my Discord. They are always welcome there, and I will never put you down for putting something out there. My Discord is a safe place, and if anybody attacks you there, you let me know, and I will take care of them. So, people who are nasty to other people will not get to stay on my Discord. So that's a big point in my Discord, is that you absolutely have to be nice to other people and support. But anyways, I am going to finish changing my title. And change the title and go on a quick break. I will be right back.